Critical Role Campaign 3 is approaching the end game. In case you've been out of the loop with Critical Role's third campaign is fast approaching the end of its story, which first aired, get this, on October 21st, 2021.
Yeah, that was over 3 years ago.
Hello everyone, I'm Finn. Welcome back to Finn Films. Join me today as I am discussing the insanity that's happening here at the end game of Critical Role Campaign 3, such as the craziest crossover in Critical Role history, where our talented cast reprise their roles as not one, not two, but all three player characters from all three campaigns. As well, we're going to be theorizing and discussing just how this insane roller coaster of a campaign is going to finally come to an end, and how I think that the end of Campaign 3 is going to change Critical Role forever. So those of you familiar with my channel over the last few years know that I am a massive D&D fantasy nerd and a Critical Role fan. I've been following these nerdy-ass voice actors basically since like day one of Campaign 1 in the Geek and Sundry days, all the way back in 2015. I watch basically every single game I can live Thursday night. Even when I lived all the way across the world in Japan, I was getting up early in the morning to watch Critical Role live. So if you ever want to say hi to me at Twitch chat, feel free to do so at finnfilms. And it is honestly insane to think that we are very fast approaching the 10-year anniversary of Critical Role, like as a stream Dungeons and Dragons game. Jesus, I am getting old.
Gods, I was strong then.
It's actually been kind of a hot minute since I've made like content over Critical Role, but seeing as we are rapidly coming to the assumed climax of Campaign 3, I thought it would be a good time to hop back on that bike one more time. So the story of Critical Role Campaign 3 has been a story of mystery, scheming, plot reveals, and the gods, largely revolving around the strange red moon of Ruidus. This moon being revealed in a massive plot twist early on to be a prison constructed for an ancient god-eating entity known as Predathos. The essential kind of main conflict of Critical Role Campaign 3 largely revolving around this ancient elven mage named Ludinus Delath and his plan to release said god-eating entity on the gods of that run the rule of Exandria, returning Exandria back to the mortals. Now, as cut and dry as this may sound, things start to get complicated really quick. I mean, we got an evil ancient wizard that wants to kill all the gods because he thinks he knows better. However, it has been slowly revealed throughout the entirety of Campaign 3 that, well, it's not nearly that simple. Through the two prequel miniseries we've gotten over Campaign 3, EXU Calamity and Downfall, it was revealed how the great ancient civil war of the gods, known as the Calamity, which wiped out 2/3 of the population of Exandria, began, as well how the gods systematically went about ensuing the downfall of the ancient advanced magocracy city of Aeor, which had developed a god-killing weapon. Through these two miniseries, we've seen that the gods are a lot more complicated than like the traditional kind of depiction of like deities in Dungeons and Dragons. There is no like kind of simple divide between good and evil, like good god and a bad god, in this case betrayer god and prime deity. It's a bit more complex, a lot more complex in fact. In fact, it's a bit of a complex familial relationship between said gods. The gods seemingly having more in common with the mortals that they've created than we were led to believe, specifically in how they are motivated by fear and self-preservation. This fear spurring the gods to call a ceasefire to said civil war, working with their betrayer gods, the enemies in the war, in order to take down the flying magocracy city of Aeor, as well as sending Exandria basically into an arcane dark age.
Now we see the violence inherent in the system.
In many ways, it's honestly kind of understandable why someone like Ludinus, who was a child during the Calamity, who watched the downfall of Aeor, was I believe, a citizen of Aeor as a child, saw the death and destruction the gods brought upon the normal world, the mortal world, would be black-pilled on the idea of divinity. And he's not really alone in thinking this. It seems like there's a lot of people who are willing to follow him, who are also kind of black-pilled on this idea of divinity and the gods. I mean, hell, even some of our party members, seemingly, at least up until recently, haven't been too sure on how exactly they will handle the gods when all of this kind of comes to a head. To make matters even more complicated for Campaign 3 in our story, it was revealed early on during the campaign that there is a whole society, a city, that has been living on Ruidus since the moon's creation as a prison. These people, this civilization, likely being former Exandrians who were taken when Ruidus was created. This prison was created out of a chunk of Exandria for Predathos, but seemingly over thousands and thousands of years, they have been warped. They have changed into a different species due to the close proximity and influence of Predathos. For these people, the releasing of Predathos is like the promise of a new life, a new home on Exandria, or what they refer to as the Blue Dream, or the Blue Promise. Blue Dream, what are we about to have a smoke sesh? As we learn that Ruidians, Rylorans, the people of Ruidus, experience life on Exandria through the dreams of Exandrians, so they constantly get a glimpse at a potential better life, a paradise for them. So not only is the moon a prison for a god-killing, god-eating entity, it's also the home of thousands and thousands of people who want nothing more than to start a new life on Exandria, creating a potential bit of a political problem, immigration problem, if you will, for the Exandrians who already live there. A problem that I'm almost positive that will pop up and will likely be a kind of core story beat for a potential Campaign 4. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, though. So at this point in our story, over the last, 8 episodes of Campaign 3, we are in full-scale war on Exandria. A full-scale war has begun between the forces of Exandria, the followers of the Divine, against Ludinus, his Exandrian followers, basically a cult, and the Ruidus people. Ludinus wanting to release Predathos, who will then eat the gods in his mind, leaving the mortals to live on their planet without the interference of their divine creators. Again, at least that's what he assumes. In the middle of our story is our player characters, the party's Bell's Hells, who have been tasked with leading a strike force onto the Red Moon to kill Ludinus and stop his plans of releasing Predathos, potentially even destroying Predathos. Meanwhile, the legendary group Vox Machina has been reassembled to launch an assault on the Malleus Key on Exandria, while the Mighty Nine will join Bell's Hells on the Red Moon to destroy the Weave Mind, a council of powerful Ryloran mystics with mind-like psychic powers. Though Bell's Hells, our main group, our party, seem unsure of what actions they want to take, as Ludinus has informed them that Predathos requires a vessel, a Ruidus-born Exandrian, in order for it to be released onto Exandria, this vessel likely being Fern or Imogen. I guess technically possibly Imogen's mom, but let's be honest, it's probably Fern or Imogen. Bell's Hell's really wrestling with this idea of what to do, of trying to contain Predathos in a kind of like Naruto, Jinchuriki, like Nine-Tail Fox style, and then either use it to make the gods leave or to imprison Predathos inside this vessel, maybe as a potential safeguard against the gods to ensure another calamity doesn't happen in the future. I mean, I imagine the gods would probably be on their best behavior if a mortal was walking around as the living vessel of Predathos, their apex predator. Here is where we've left our story, as over the last few episodes we've seen, again, the craziest Critical Role crossover that they've ever done, where our cast once again reprised their roles as their Campaign 1 and 2 characters. Even at several points through our episodes, we've seen them somehow managing to play their Campaign 2 and 3 characters at the exact same time, making for some absolute hilarious moments.
Is there any kind of time differential between in here and out there? Like, are we gonna come out a couple days later or anything?
No, we are just one. We are just sort of one sheet of paper over on the multiverse, if you were. So that's not a problem. Do we have?
We're still in enemy territory.
Away from me, Satan.
Just when you think that the story of Campaign 3 couldn't get any more insane or more chaotic, Matt continues to manage to outdo himself again and again. And I can basically guarantee you that things are going to get even crazier before this campaign, this story is finally said and done. I mean, the choice that Bell's Hells is going to make will have drastic repercussions, drastic impact on the world of Exandria and future Critical Role campaigns. What to do with Predathos, to destroy it, to release it, to keep it as a vessel. What will happen to the Ruidians, the Rhyngorans? Will they die on Ruidus? Will they be able to integrate and move to Exandria? I have a feeling that a lot of the people of Exandria aren't going to like a bunch of new, basically like foreign aliens coming down and trying to live on their planet.
Like the Guardians! They took your job! They took your job too!
Again, will Bell's Hells try to pull a Naruto, a Jinchuriki, and try to keep Predathos trapped inside of a human vessel, aka Imogen or Fern, basically as insurance in order to keep the gods in check? We have already been shown through a character like Xerxes in EXU Calamity that it is possible for mortals to wield divine magic without technically worshipping a deity. So was this possibly like a teaser, a potential reveal that this is what the future of Exandria would look like without any gods? Or will Matt Mercer hit us with another kind of classic crazy lore reveal that drastically changes any plans that the party might have and basically throws any theories from the fan base completely out the window? Knowing Matt and everything that's happened over all three of our campaigns, specifically in Campaign 3, I have a feeling that this is gonna happen. Campaign 3 really has been a focus on like Matt further unraveling the mysteries and the lore of Exandria through the gods and through showing us that everything we thought we knew about this world is, well, completely wrong. The gods are not these all-knowing, all-powerful beings divided by good and evil. No, they are a dysfunctional family, a group of refugees who fled in fear from a god-killing entity, an apex predator, and then somehow found their way onto this little blue rock of Exandria. Here they then created mortals, built up followers and worshippers, created stories that they surrounded themselves with over thousands and thousands of years. These stories and these followers hiding their flaws so much that many of them seem to believe their own lies and their own stories that they have created about themselves. The gods at the end of the day are very much like the mortals. They are flawed and selfish. They have shown that they are willing to kill and destroy for their own self-preservation, and that they would very quickly, easily wipe out all of Exandria and start over should it come to that. So then would it really be such a bad idea to trap this apex predator, this god-eating entity inside of a mortal as a potential failsafe if the gods decided that, well, they wanted to hit the reset button? Doesn't seem like a bad idea to me. This is the question that we ask ourselves when we look at what will possibly happen to the fate of these divine beings in our world of Exandria and the world of Critical Role, especially when their fate lies in the hands of a group of mortal misfits, many of them which bear no love or like loyalty at all to the divine. It's a really interesting question and makes for a really fun premise for a Dungeons & Dragons campaign and just a long-term story, and I really gotta hand it to Matt for setting up this story like literally over 10 years ago. I've talked about this before in like a couple of videos over the last like year or two, but Campaign 3 really is like in a full example of like long-term storytelling at its best. A story that is exactly 10 years in the making, if not more. A story that could really only be told by like laying the groundwork, the world building of Exandria over the like following campaigns 1 and 2. If without campaigns 1 and 2, the story of Campaign 3 just wouldn't be possible, as campaigns 1 and 2 set our expectations for this world, and then Matt knocks them over and blows them up in Campaign 3, showing us that things are way more complicated than they originally seemed. I'm not gonna lie, I did have a few issues with Campaign 3, especially kind of early on in like the first like arc or so, but looking back now over the last 3 years at this story, I really do think that when this campaign is all said and done, Campaign 3 will be the best Critical Role campaign so far. At the very least, I think it's gonna be my favorite. I mean, Campaign 3 has given the rise to like the best pieces of Critical Role like media content that they've ever done in EXU Calamity and Downfall, and it has really taken the story and world of Exandria to new heights. Again, Campaign 3 is really kind of an amalgamation of Campaigns 1 and 2. It wouldn't be possible to tell a story like Campaign 3 without first setting the groundwork, the world building and the lore from Campaigns 1 and 2. Because of that, I do honestly think that whatever happens at the end of Campaign 3 here in kind of our final arc, it will drastically change the world of Exandria, and most likely then the future of Critical Role and the Critical Role campaigns as we know it. As always, though, guys, with these types of videos, these are very much just like my thoughts and opinions. So feel free to let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think is going to happen at the end of Critical Role Campaign 3? What do you think is in store for the future of Critical Role campaigns? Let me know all your crazy theories in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy this video or learn something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as your engagement on these videos is the easiest way to support me, and it really does go a long way in helping to put this video into the algorithm. If you did enjoy this video, then why don't you check out some of my other Critical Role content or Dungeons & Dragons content on screen now. And as always, thank you again so much for continuing to support me. I hope to see you in the next video. Until next time, stay safe out there. Peace, love, Adu.